Hello again. Well, it's good to be back with another Factory Talk. Now, during the course of this series so far, we've spoken to CEOs, company owners, and we've spoken about things such as funding for business and tax incentives. But throughout many of those conversations, one of the key points to help manufacturers grow and prosper is investment and innovation. That's really what comes out of our conversation. So that's what we're really going to focus on this week. And I am delighted to say we're joined by Ben Morgan, who is the Research Director at the Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre, or AMRC, which is based, I believe, just off the M1 motorway, somewhere between Sheffield and Rotherham. How's the geography, Ben? Is that roughly where you are?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we actually we span the two districts now. So most of our facilities are Rotherham, but we do have a facility in Sheffield as well.
Right. I'm really pleased to be talking to you this week. Thanks for being on Factory Talk. Let's start then, if we can, at the beginning. Tell us about the AMRC, what it is, what it does.
Yeah, so the AMRC is part of the University of Sheffield. It's also part of the high value manufacturing Catapult. It was set up in 2001 with Professor Keith Ridgway and Adrian Allen, who were at the time a leading academic and local businessman who wanted to really bring together both academia and industry to try and drive some of the academic research that Keith and his team were doing into industry and really make an impact. So it was set up as the AMRC with BOEING. So BOEING were the founder partner. And the reason for that was supporting BOEING in the UK in helping them really to make their supply chain more competitive, and to try and, from a UK government perspective, to try and grow that network and grow that capacity. So we're now about 600 staff. We've got £300 million worth of assets. We're across 4 sites. So we're Sheffield. We're in North Wales as well, supporting AIRBUS. We're up in Preston, supporting BAE Systems and their supply chain. And we're also in Korea. And we cover really the whole product life cycle from high value design through component manufacture, composite casting, additive, machining, assembly. We put it together, smart factory, and then inspection and test as well. And we're really there to try and drive innovation into industry and try and help industry be more competitive. So ultimate purpose is to help industry make things better. That's our purpose. That's the reason why we're here.
Which is a really simple statement, really, isn't it? Make industry to make things better, which is a really good purpose. I mean, is it purely in aerospace your work, or is it throughout the manufacturing role?
It's cross sector. Yeah, we historically, we started with BOEING, clearly big aerospace and defence business, but very, very quickly started to work with big UK business such as Rolls-Royce, BAE Systems, latterly Airbus, Spirit, GKN, all tier 1 partners of the AMRC today. But as I say, so aerospace and defence was our roots, but we do work in automotive. We're starting to do more in construction, modular construction, rail, medical, and more so now kind of energy industries as well. So anything where we can kind of horizontally innovate, where we've developed something for aerospace and defence, and we can pass on the benefits to other industries. We try and support UK PLC in that regard.
What about your background? Is it in manufacturing?
Yeah, so I trained as a mechanical engineer. I joined the AMRC as a graduate and been at the AMRC 12 years. So worked my way through really from being a project engineer, looking after robotics and automation, metrology and inspection, through project management. And for the last 6 years, I've run the £43 million project Factory 2050 and the team in there. and really seen that grow from a team of 5 or 6 up to I think there's about 70 in that facility today. So yeah, mechanical engineer by training, and a robotics engineer, by experience, I guess.
Let's address the elephant in the room. If we'd have had this conversation a year ago, we would have mentioned this, but you can't ignore COVID. I mean, we're just at the time where the second wave seems to be growing. How is this affecting British manufacturing? Obviously, it presents challenges, but does it present opportunities as well?
Yeah, I think, as you say, it is the elephant in the room. It's presenting huge opportunities, huge difficulties for industry. Let's make that clear. Particularly as we're seeing the aerospace industry with the grounding of flights globally. Really, that's kind of untold consequences at the moment, and I think it's going to take many years to recover, unfortunately. I think for more general industry and certain sectors in particular, it is presenting opportunities. I think it's accelerated the digital transformation. So any businesses that have been thinking about taking on digital technologies, I think really have been forced into it, particularly at the business side of things. So maybe less so on the shop floor, but certainly the business side and the automation of data, and certainly kind of the connectivity piece that we're seeing. It's not just manufacturing, but Zoom calls and that type of thing are now a way of life. We're certainly seeing a lot of businesses that are very savvy to digitalisation, really profiting through the pandemic. So, where a lot of people are struggling, some people are making good of the situation.
I know it's a case of learning at the school of hard knocks a little bit. I mean, industry has had to adapt, hasn't it? I mean, one of the great ways we've seen how industry has adapted and helped and really contributed towards the fight against COVID is the ventilator challenge.
Yeah, that was. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the ventilator challenge. But for those who perhaps weren't aware, it was a consortium of a number of UK companies, not typically involved in the medical industry, supporting a number of smaller UK medical businesses to really ramp up the rate on a number of products. Led by Dick Elsey, who's the CEO of the high value manufacturing Catapult. I think it was a real national success, and something that manufacturing as a sector in the UK we can be really, really proud of. We actually ended up manufacturing, I think it was 10 years worth of ventilators in a little over 10 weeks, so which is truly astounding. And a huge credit goes to some of the businesses involved in that, such as AIRBUS and Siemens, Williams, GKN. I would have missed key players there, but it was a mammoth effort right across the UK.
Let's touch on something that you hinted at when we were talking about the AMRC and what you do. The future strategy, which is never easy to say, is it, for British manufacturing? I'm thinking industry for the internet of things, 3D printing. I mean, one of the things that comes over in our conversations we have on Factory Talk is sometimes a view that we're not adapting and adopting these principles fast enough compared to our competitors overseas. How essential is it for British manufacturing that we do fully embrace this technology?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely essential. I think businesses that have adopted these technologies, robotics, as you say, 3D printing, IoT, they're already seeing the benefits. They're already seeing the rewards. They're more efficient. They're more consistent. They've got higher quality, and I think they're more resilient to what the kind of the geopolitical world can throw at them. If you've got a factory with 50%, robotics, and there's a global pandemic, let's say, will the robots carry on? I'm quite biased with robotics, but I do think there are a lot of off-the-shelf technologies now that UK industry seriously needs to be looking at and investing in. There is a culture in the UK of kind of make do, and we've got that machine from 1950 and it doesn't start working and all the rest of it, sweating the assets, and that is great. Do not get me wrong, that's great, and I realise a lot of these businesses are running on tight margins, but you do see a different culture, I think, on the continent, particularly in Germany, where they will want to refresh machinery to take advantage of the latest, greatest tech and the applications and opportunities that technology can offer. So I think IoT, I think 3D printing, all these things have a part to play. What I would say is, we're looking at these. A lot of businesses are looking at these relatively discreetly. A system here, a system there, etc. I think the real advantage to be had is the whole is far greater than the sum of the parts, and that's the message that we're trying to bang the drum of at the AMRC.
Is it going to change the way supply chains work? I'm just thinking 3D printing. Obviously, you can't 3D print everything you need, or at least you can't at the moment. But do you see that as the future, and possibly the just-in-time mechanisms that we've used for supply chains in the past? Do you see that changing?
Yes, I think so. There's a lot going on with supply chains at the moment, and clearly, most of the aerospace supply chains are global. But what we've seen through, particularly through the pandemic, with medical devices such as ventilators, is that when we see disruption, we need to have capacity to be able to onshore these supply chains. We need the resilience, because effectively, manufacturing is an essential service. I think that's something that's forgotten in this country. If we can't manufacture the beds, if we can't manufacture the ventilators, the MRI scanners, etc., if we can't manufacture that, then there is no service, there is no NHS. So I think the government, hopefully is doing, but needs to put more emphasis on supporting UK supply chain, and programs such as Made Smarter are going some of the way to doing that, but I think really it's the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a long way to go.
Yeah, and what would you like to see them do?
Well, I think it's a case of investment. I think targeted investment, and greater sums of money, really. I think there needs to be, it was really good to see the government, come out with their industrial strategy, and certainly the ISCF funding has been, huge chunks of money, and has gone some of the way to do that. But I just think it requires, sustained investment, and, supporting of not only current markets such as, aerospace and defence, but potentially new markets, nascent markets such as hydrogen economy. So we're involved in a bid that's just gone into government with the zero carbon Humber partnership led by National Grid and Equinor. It's a £70-odd million bid that's gone in, and we're looking to leverage that technology to create the world's first industrial zero carbon emission zone in the Humber by 2040. So it's a really ambitious programme of work, and the AMRC's part to play in that is to ensure that industry and as much of that segment is anchored in UK supply chain. And I see that absolutely key, because there's huge amounts of staff and knowledge and resource in aerospace industry that could potentially leave the country or retire, etc. But an industry like hydrogen could leverage all that knowledge, talent, and it could really accelerate the UK onto the international stage in that space.
Let's move on. Let's talk about the Digital Meet campaign. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Digital Meet is something we've been running sort of quite quietly, if you like, for the last couple of years, but it's certainly starting to really kind of ramp up in its prominence in the region. We're convening ultimately. We are talking to manufacturing businesses, mainly SMEs in the region, and we're understanding their problems with connectivity and data management and the sort of typical stuff that we're seeing. And we're convening them with small businesses, digital businesses that perhaps typically haven't been engaged in manufacturing in the past. They might have done websites. They might have worked in fintech. They might have done gaming. Now, Sheffield and Sheffield City region, Barnsley, Doncaster, not in the region, but Hull as well, have a fantastic digital community, really strong digital community. And, we are linking the manufacturing community to the digital community. And already we're seeing, relationships really thriving and delivering, and it's offering productivity benefits and increased quality and, ultimately competitiveness for SMEs in the region.
Ben, I knew this was going to happen. There's so many more things I wanted to talk to you about, but we're out of time. Would you come back on Factory Talk again in the future and we can touch on some more subjects, because there's so many things we could talk about.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to, and thank you very much for having me on.
It's been our pleasure, and it's a day. We'll sort out getting you back on the programme. It's been great to talk to you today. Really enjoyed the chat about you and the AMRC. Thank you very much to Ben. Now, if you want to check back on any of the previous editions of Factory Talk, including, of course, we've got Oliver North, the CEO of Venari, and John D'Angelillo, the Managing Director of Boromat UK. They're all available for you to have a look at. They're on MTD MFG. That's it for this week. I'll see you with another Factory Talk soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.